Hello and welcome. In this video, I am going to attempt using only published D&D 5e material to create Mash Bernadette from the series Mashle Magic and Muscle. To get as close to Mash as possible, I am going to be using the variant rules for feats and the point buy system. As without these, creating Mash or most anime characters becomes a lot more difficult within D&D. Now for a level by level breakdown of his character. First, Mash is obviously human, at least as far as we know anyway. But he is also unique in his setting as one of the few people without magic, so that to me makes him a variant human. Variant humans get a +1 to 2 of their ability scores of their choice, proficiency in a skill of your choice and a feat. The feat he takes is the Fighter Initiate feat to choose the unarmed fighting style from the fighter. This means his unarmed strikes do 1d8 plus strength modifier in bludgeoning damage while not wielding any weapons or shields, otherwise the damage drops to 1d6 plus constitution modifier. And for his skill of choice, you have acrobatics. Take the Outlander background. Mash grew up in the wilds with his father almost his entire life, and he seems quite at peace they are with how he has no issue running out into the woods to grab a snack. This gives him proficiency in athletics and survival. Mash is a very athletic person, and living in the forest all his life takes some level of survival skill. Now as for his ability scores, he has a 15 in strength, dexterity and constitution, leaving him with an 8 in intelligence, wisdom and charisma. Put his additional points into strength and constitution, taking them up to 16 each. The reason for these scores is that every issue Mash faces in the story is due to a failed intelligence, wisdom or charisma check, and he only gets out of those issues by making a good or great strength, dexterity, or constitution check. In fact, I would say that Mash is one of the few shonen main characters who does not have a good charisma stat. For instance, the inciting incident is caused by a lack of willpower to resist his stomach's want for cream puffs. Despite knowing about the fact he would have to hide his face, he did not think to cover it with a mask or just draw a fake mark onto his face. And he cannot lie to save his life, and he is not convincing anyone to spare his life purely based on his words, not to mention he is not subtle in the slightest. So, you might have guessed what class we are going with, seeing as how wisdom is one of our dump stats and we took a feat to get a fighting style which we could have gotten had we gone fighter, so obviously we are going barbarian. So, take intimidation and nature from barbarian. Mash lived most of his life in the woods, so he must be at least somewhat familiar with nature, and the intimidation is more to show how much of a monster he seems to the regular people of his world. As a barbarian you get 2 abilities at level 1, Rage, and Unarmored Defense. On your turn you can enter into a rage for a full minute as a bonus action. Your rage ends early if you are knocked unconscious, your turn ends, and you have not attacked a hostile creature since your last turn or taken damage since then. You can also end your rage early as a bonus action. At this level you can use rage twice per long rest. While raging you have advantage on strength check and saves. When you make a melee weapon attack you gain a bonus to the damage roll, which increases as you level in this class. At this level it is a +2. You also gain resistance to both mundane and magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. While rage might not be the first thing you think of when considering Mash's character, he is a very physical, powerful individual, who has shown to be able to take blows exceedingly well to the point that he can shrug off most attacks with little to no damage at all. And he isn't above threatening to actually hit people if they get under his skin. Just think of him as a quieter sort of rage, simmering away just below the surface. Unarmored Defense makes his armor class 10 plus dexterity and constitution modifiers at this level, that makes it a solid 15. Mash's school robes do not provide much in the way of defense, and he is rarely seen wearing much else. At level 2 you get Reckless Attack. On your first attack you can choose to give your enemies advantage on all attacks on you until your next turn, in exchange gaining advantage on all melee weapon based on strength for the turn. You also get Danger Sense. This grants you advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects that you can see, including spells and traps, but you can't be blinded, deafened or incapacitated. Mash does not seem to care for his own body when he goes in for the offensive, mainly because his body is just so durable, and if Mash wants to dodge something, he does not tend to have any issue in doing so. In fact, he reacts with inhuman speed. At level 3 you take on your primal path. In Mash's case he is going down the path of the totem warrior. Mash does not worship any sort of totem, but there isn't really any other primal path that really suits him. Also, growing up in the woods and being surrounded by nature all the time, it wouldn't be too surprising if he considered the animals of the forests as his totems. Taking this path gives you the ability to cast beast sense and speak with animals as a ritual only. If Mash would not be using this, however, what you really want is the totem spirit, which lets you choose between a bear, eagle, and wolf. In this case you want to take the bear so that while raging you gain resistance to all damage except for psychic damage. Mash is extremely hard to injure even with magic when it hits him dead on. At this level you also gain the ability to rage 3 times per long rest. At level 4 you have an ability score improvement, put 2 points into strength raising it up to 18. Which brings you unarmed damage to 1d8 plus 4. At 5th level extra attack, which allows you to attack twice when you take the attack action on your turn, and fast movement, which increases your speed by 10 feet when not wearing armor. Mash usually does not need to land too many strikes on his opponents to put them down, but he certainly could, and one thing that is almost as impressive as his strength is his speed. 6th level you get a primal path feature, aspect of the beast, which once again gives you a choice between bear, eagle, and wolf. Take the bear to double your maximum load, maximum lift and carrying capacity. You also gain advantage on strength checks made to push, pull, life or break objects. You can also rage 4 times per long rest at this level for even more quiet fury. At 7th level you get feral instincts. This gives you advantage on initiative rolls. If taken by surprise at the beginning of combat and are not incapacitated, you can act normally on your first turn if you enter a rage before doing anything else. Mash does not get surprised very often, and even when he is, he does not react like it. 8th level you get another ability score improvement, put 2 points into strength bringing your unarmed damage up to 1d8 plus 5. 9th level you get brutal critical. You can roll on additional weapon damage die when determining the damage for a critical hit with a melee weapon. Your rage damage also increases to a plus 3, meaning that the maximum damage you can do with an unarmed attack at this level is 1d8 plus 8 while raging. More damage is always good, especially when you are a muggle fighting against wizards with your fists. At 10th level you can cast Commune with Nature, but only as a ritual. Not really in Mash's character, but it is an option for you if you do not want to play his exact character. 11th level, you gain Relentless Rage. If you drop to 0 hit points while raging and are not killed outright, you can make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. If you succeed you drop to 1 hit point instead. Every time you do this the DC increases by 5 until you have a short or long rest, at which point it rests 10. Even when Mash does get hurt, he still keeps going, plus he is a manga protagonist, so even attacks that should keep him down permanently are just an inconvenience for him. 12th level, you gain another ability score improvement, put 2 into Constitution bringing it up to 18, meaning that your armor class goes up to a 16 while not wearing any armor. You can also use rage 5 times per long rest. Mash is good at avoiding damage even when he is not consciously thinking about it. 13th level, you can roll 2 extra damage die when you crit due to an improvement in your brutal critical. 14th levels you gain another primal path feature, totem attunement, pick between bear, eagle, or wolf. Take wolf this time so that while raging you can use a bonus action on your turn to knock a large or smaller creature prone when you hit it with a melee attack, with no save included, meaning you can knock around even those annoying dead servants. 15th level, Persistent Rage. Your rage does not end early unless you fall unconscious or you choose to end it. This means that Mash now permanently has his great resistance if you don't go dropping rage too many times before a long rest happens. 16th levels take the Crusher feat to increase your Constitution score by 1, so that you can push a creature which is no larger than one sized bigger than you 5 feet to an unoccupied, provided you hit them with your fists or another source of bludgeoning damage. Also, when you hit a creature and manage to get a critical hit that deals bludgeoning damage like your fists, attack rolls against that creature are made with advantage until your next turn. Mash is strong enough to easily shove people around in a fight, and this means you do not have to risk giving your enemies advantage against you if you score a crit. Your rage bonus damage also goes up to A+4, meaning your unarmed strikes now do 1d8 plus 9. 17th level you can roll 3 extra damage die when you score a crit, that is a lot of damage. You can also rage 6 times now. 18th level, if your total strength check is less than your strength score, you can use your strength score in place of the check's total. This makes your strength more reliable. Mash is always strong after all. 19th level, you get another ability score improvement, put 1 into Constitution bringing it up to a nice round 20 and 1 in Dexterity to bring it up to 16. Which brings your armor class up to 18. 20th level, you get Primal Champion, increasing both your strength and Constitution to 24, and you have unlimited rages. And it brings your armor class up to 20. Mash is extraordinarily strong and hard to hit, and now he doesn't have to worry about running out of juice.